The power of determination in the lives of humans is immeasurable. With determination, a lot of impossibilities have become possibilities. Such are the lives of the Ukrainian students who don't mind dying in the battle just to save their country from being hijacked by Russians. While the adults run away from the battleground, these 200 amateur Ukrainians face 3,000 Russian soldiers with boldness and enthusiasm, sacrificing their lives for the peace of their fellow citizens. In 1917, Ukraine saw a glimmer of hope to restore its independence as the Russian Empire collapsed after decades of oppression. The world community was poised to recognize the Ukrainian People's Republic, but a ruthless and insidious enemy stood in their path. Under Lenin's command, Russian troops, led by Muravyov, occupied town after town, and Ukraine faced the imminent threat of losing its capital, Kyiv. Fast forward to 1918, and the Battle of Kruty marked a pivotal moment in Ukraine's struggle for freedom. In 2018, on Kruty Heroes Memorial Day, the inspiring story of the soldiers that participated in the war was narrated to the young generation, reminding them of the courage and sacrifice that shaped their nation's history. The movie begins with a young soldier in modern times taking a seat before the Kruty Heroes Memorial and reading a dog-eared journal of some vintage. Jumping back to 100 years, the Ukrainian townspeople gather in the bustling town square, eager to hear the impassioned speech of their esteemed leader, General Simon Petlura. The captain's words resound with determination as he urges them to rise and defend their beloved country, safeguarding it from famine and ensuring worker independence. Amidst the crowd stands Oleska Savitsky, a dedicated spy for the Ukrainian army, who can't help but smile when Sofia, a graceful town lady, joins the gathering. Oleska grins at the ring he holds in his palm as he plans to propose to Sofia later in the day. As the captain's speech draws close, he implores everyone to prepare for the upcoming battle. However, some older men prefer negotiation, which unfortunately reduces the number of willing soldiers for Ukraine. In response, the captain announces a solution, encouraging anyone interested in fighting to register with them. The call is met with an overwhelming response, with about 200 students rushing to the registration spot, eager to do their duty for their country. With determination in their hearts, they form a steadfast queue, ready to enlist and defend their homeland. 4 weeks before the main event, the scene unfolds at General Foch's headquarters in Paris. The general engages in a discreet conversation with a man named Paul, discussing the influential presence of Lenin in regions where the Bolsheviks receive support from the people. He hands Paul an envelope, emphasizing its crucial significance. General Foch reveals that if this envelope finds its way into the hands of Trotsky, another powerful figure within the Bolshevik Party, it will cause a profound split and power struggle within their ranks. Understanding the strategic importance of this internal strife, General Foch underscores that it will divert their attention away from Ukraine. He entrusts Paul with delivering the envelope to General Savitsky, warning him to exercise utmost caution in this critical mission. In the subsequent scene, Paul entrusts a capable man to give the envelope to Oleska Savitsky. He instructs him to go to the bustling Odessa port and locate Oleska Savitsky, describing the spy in detail and mentioning that Oleska will request a light. In another setting, a different man relays orders to yet another individual. He instructs him to deliver a message to Berg, urging him to collect an envelope from a French contact. Among the university students queuing to enlist in Kyiv, Andriy Savitsky, Oleska's younger brother, stands apart. As a pacifist, he staunchly believes in peace and refuses to take up arms. Watching the event unfold from a distance, he converses with Sofia. Just then, Oleska approaches them and warmly greets Sofia. Curious, he asks his brother if he volunteered for the war, to which Andriy firmly replies that war is not his path. Sofia kindly suggests they go to a restaurant together. But Oleska playfully teases Andriy, implying that he won't be able to join them as their father will be waiting for him at home. Oleska and Sofia make their way to the bar, where they are met with a weary owner who laments the difficult times due to the scarcity of flour, resulting in him having to let go of some employees. As they sit down to enjoy their meals, Oleska attempts to propose to Sofia, but the persistent bartender keeps interrupting with food and drinks, thwarting his every moment to speak. Despite his efforts, Oleska's proposal remains unspoken. In the subsequent scene, the enlisted students find themselves assigned to a room in the barracks. The commanding officer enters their quarters and addresses them, emphasizing the challenges in their chosen path. He candidly informs them of the hardships they will face and the importance of mastering the art of shooting, giving them only a week to prepare themselves for the demanding journey they have committed to undertake. At night, General Savitsky gathers for dinner with his children, Oleska and Andriy, and one of his men. During the meal, he speaks passionately about the need to protect Kyiv and their homeland. However, Andriy, firm in his pacifist beliefs, disagrees with the necessity of war. In response, their father explained that to achieve peace, one must be ready to fight for it. Despite the explanation, Andrei remains steadfast in his opposition to violence. After dinner, the family gathers to watch a war recording. During the screening, shocking news emerges: a traitor lurks among them. The informant reveals that the double agent named Berg works for German intelligence while also assisting the Russian army in seizing the region of Kharkiv. The traitor's actions have led to the torture and death of nearly 170 innocent people, and he's even been involved in riots in Kryvyi Rih. Upon hearing this revelation, the general expresses that they have been diligently searching for Berg for months. Turning to Andrei, he questions whether war isn't a viable option now. As they watch the documentary, Andrei's heart is filled with remorse, and he ultimately decides to join the army. However, his intention remains clear: to avoid taking another's life if possible. At the Odessa port, Oleska meets the agent as planned, skillfully asking him for a light before suggesting they move to a nearby car. However, their well-laid plan turns dark as Berg and his soldiers suddenly ambush them. Tragically, the agent is killed in the attack, and a bullet strikes Oleska. In a desperate attempt to spare his life, Oleska reveals to Berg that the envelope doesn't contain all the information he seeks. Meanwhile, the students file out to prepare for their army center training. Eager for action, one of the students queries the commander about when they will engage in combat. The commander reassures them, explaining they will have ample opportunities to prove themselves in battle. In another corner of the scene, the father and sister of a student named Pipesky come to bid him an emotional farewell. To protect him from the cold, his father gives him a shawl he lovingly sewed himself. Emotions run high as they say their goodbyes, understanding the gravity of the path Pipesky has chosen in defense of their country. In the ensuing scene, General Foch contacts General Savitsky to deliver the unfortunate news that Lenin intercepted the envelope. Undeterred by the setback, General Savitsky remains resolute, stating that the mission cannot be cancelled. He informs General Foch that rumors about secret documents have reached Trotsky, leaving the possibility that the plan might still succeed. Meanwhile, Berg pays a visit to the Russian Army General Mikhail Muravyov. The general commends Berg for successfully intercepting the document in Ukrainian counterintelligence, recognizing its significance in preventing potential obstacles to their war efforts. The dedicated students at the Ukraine Army base continue their rigorous training, focusing on honing their shooting skills. In an uncompleted building, a man named Pyatakov arrives with a box, unaware of the danger that awaits him. He encounters Berg, not recognizing him, and asks for Berg's whereabouts. Tragically, Pyatakov is swiftly killed by Berg. Unbeknownst to Berg, Oleska hides in the building, silently observing the unfolding scene. Eventually, Oleska emerges from his hiding spot, and Berg informs him that he will receive a payment if the documents he possesses are genuine. In Muravyov's office, two agents representing Trotsky visit him. One of the men, Mikhail Artemovich, breaks the grim news of Pyatakov's death and conveys Trotsky's desire to take personal control of the situation, urgently needing the documents. Muravyov responds that he will inquire with Berg about the document. Untrusting of Berg, Mikhail Artemovich inquires about the person who wants to sell the documents to them, but Muravyov doesn't know who it is. As the meeting concludes, Mikhail Artemovich expresses his expectation of receiving Muravyov's message. Before leaving, he inquires about the progress of their offensive operation. Muravyov confidently replies that everything is proceeding as planned, with preparations for a breakthrough in Kryvyi underway. He assures them that they will soon retake Kyiv. Under cover of darkness, General Muravyov leads a major Russian troop as they head towards Kryvyi on a train. In preparation for the war, he injects himself with a powerful drug to boost his capabilities. Simultaneously, other Russian troops approach Kyiv from the directions of Kharkiv and Poltava, forming a formidable force closing in on the city. On the Ukrainian side, the soldiers are well informed about the approaching Bolshevik forces and are determined to stop them. As the student soldiers prepare to leave for the front lines, their families gather to bid them heartfelt farewells. Among them, Oleska comes to see his younger brother, Andrei, often tries to persuade him not to go to war, but Andrei remains steadfast in his decision. Disheartened by his brother's refusal, Oleska returns to his vehicle, about to depart, when he witnesses Sofia running to Andrei. He watches with mixed emotions as the two hold hands while talking. Frustrated, Oleska enters his vehicle with a heavy heart and drives off, struggling with his feelings for Sofia and his concern for his brother's safety. At Berg's base, Oleska meets a man who has been waiting for him. He discreetly hands over a paper wrapped like a cigarette to the man before walking away. The man promptly delivers the paper to Berg, who unwraps it to find a message confirming that the document is in Oleska's possession and inquires about their meeting point. Berg writes down the designated location and returns the paper to the man to deliver to Oleska. With their plans set in motion, Berg briefs his troop on the instructions they are to follow. The Ukrainian troop train stops at Kyiv station for reinforcement, and the soldiers follow the commander's order to disembark from the train. Meanwhile, one of Muravyov's soldiers rushes in to inform him about the arrival of the Ukrainian military in Kyiv and the reinforcement they have received. In response, Muravyov calls the Ukrainian commander and attempts to threaten him, but his efforts are unsuccessful. After ending the call, Muravyov contacts Berg and shares information about the Trotsky people looking for a certain document and the person willing to give it to them. Berg appreciates the information and orders one of his men to execute Oleska as soon as they obtain the documents from him. As the Russian troops arrive, the Ukrainian soldiers swiftly take cover in a trench on the snow-covered ground. Muravyov directs the Russian forces to bombard the area from his room. Amidst the tense situation, the Ukrainian commander motivates his soldiers not to panic and to hold their fire until his order. When the Russians approach the trench, he commands them to open fire. Although they suffered some losses, the Ukrainian soldiers managed to overpower the Russians. The commander encourages them to persevere, promising that a military train will come to pick them up at night. He informs them they will spend the night at Kyiv if the train doesn't arrive. Another wave of Russian soldiers arrives, and another intense shooting ensues. Throughout the battle, Muravyov continues shouting orders from the corner of his room, but the Ukrainian student soldiers impress their commander with their performance. As time passes, both sides use knives attached to their guns. The brutal combat results in heavy casualties for both parties, but ultimately, the Ukrainian soldiers emerge victorious. Muravyov is left in shock by the unexpected outcome of the battle. After the intense battle, the Ukrainian commander instructs some of the soldiers to tend to the wounded and prepare to head to the station. He warns them that a military train will arrive by sunset, but they might still be at risk of a Russian attack. The commander then singles out Andriy, tasking him to a station 2 kilometers away. Andriy's mission is to keep a lookout and cover the rest of the group upon receiving a signal. Additionally, 2 other soldiers are assigned to guide the wounded through the darker night to the station via the forest. Everyone follows the commander's orders diligently. When the military train arrives, they all board, including Andriy. However, during the journey, Andriy realizes that some of his friends are missing. He approaches the commander, who advises him to search for them. Andriy follows the order and looks for his missing comrades, but unfortunately, they are nowhere to be found on the train. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian student soldiers at the station lose track of the train. They find themselves stranded at the station, where they encounter Muravyov waiting for them. Andriy decides to alight from the train and search for them, despite the commander's warning about inevitable losses in the war. Elsewhere, General Savitsky's team member successfully infiltrates Berg's hideout, eliminating everyone present and arresting Berg. Back at the station, Muravyov holds the students hostage overnight. Sadly, the injured do not survive, and he executes the rest the following day. Meanwhile, Oleksiy meets with the Trotsky soldiers to exchange documents. As he leaves, he unexpectedly encounters his brother, Andriy, grieving over the site where Muravyov killed their friends. In a sudden confrontation with the Trotsky soldiers, Oleksiy defends himself and kills them all. Unknown to Oleksiy, one of the men he shot is not dead yet. The man manages to shoot Oleksiy before dying himself. Before passing away, Oleksiy urges Andriy to take the documents and deliver them to their father. As the remaining Ukrainian soldiers return home, families eagerly come out to welcome their loved ones. Pypysky's father and sister search for him in the crowd, but sadly, he is not among the returning soldiers. Andriy alights from the train and hands Pypysky's father a handmade towel, a poignant gesture that tears the father's eyes, realizing his son's fate. Sofia warmly welcomes Andriy, and together they walk home. In the following scene, Sofia gathers the children and narrates the tale of the soldier who bravely fought and fell at Kyiv in 1918 during a memorial organized in 2018. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.